Today, Alexis is taking the minutes. Welcome to Setting the Record Queer, a podcast where queer people talk about the pursuits and communities they love. This is Taking the Minutes number 6, and it's going to be about text painting in music. My name is Alexis, my pronouns are it, its, and she, her, and I'm going to be your host today. So, as I just said, today we're going to talk about text painting in music. Now, those of you who follow me on Twitter may have noticed that based on my infrequent tweeting in the past couple of months about classical music, I've been taking a music theory class this semester. This is the third one that I've taken in college. Music and music theory is sort of a side interest of mine, and one topic in particular that we discussed this semester really stood out to me, and that is text painting in music. What is text painting, you may ask? And then I would answer, text painting is when the choice of musical elements like rhythm and melody or even specific harmonic, melodic, whatever structures and groups of notes and that sort of stuff are made very intentionally to match what the lyrics of a song are trying to convey. And I was kind of surprised to hear this in class because I felt like this was something that I had noticed in music on my own, and I guess I kind of thought it was just a me thing. I kind of assumed that no one else really looked at this like music really matching up in significantly interesting ways with the music is just me interpreting things for fun, and in particular I felt it was related to the way I experience music as an autistic person. And let me tell you, my theories on the relationships between autism and music is the topic for another Taking the Minutes that I probably won't do because that's way over my head. But no, as it turns out, this is a thing that music theorists like to talk about as well. So, I'm going to talk about it. So to help you better understand text painting, I've actually picked out 2 examples to go through in this Taking the Minutes, and I'm going to do a little bit of analysis on them, or at least repeat some analysis that was told to me in the case of one of them. And I think by seeing it in action, you may start to get an idea for what it is. So the first piece that we're going to talk about is actually the one that we used in our music theory class to talk about this topic. It is a German art song called Die Krähe, or The Crow, by Schubert. So this is a song, plot summary. This is part of a series of songs. And this song is about a guy who is sad and he's walking through a desolate wintry landscape. He's sad because he got dumped or the person he loved died. One of the two. I mean, that's classical media for you in general. Also, there's a crow flying over his head the whole time, and the crow represents looming death. Because again, this is classical media, and it's all kind of the same. So take a listen to this example, and then I'll tell you what text painting-y things I noticed in it. I hope you enjoyed that sample of the song. You should go listen to the rest of it. I like this piece. So 2 things I want to point out about this piece. So 2 examples of text painting I want to point out from the sample we just listened to. Notice how the piano kept that same rhythm in the lower part, just doot 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 doot, that sort of thing. And at least in my estimation, I would have to guess that that piano motif was intended to represent the crow flying overhead, just constantly making little circles, watching ominously if it weren't cute, because personally I think crows are cute, but another topic again. So yeah, I think that piano melody represents the crow. And the other thing I want to point out is kind of the rhythmic structure of the piece overall. That piece is very much written so that everything is kind of on 1, 2, 1, 2. And throughout the piece, almost every significant thing ends on one of those beats. There's not a whole lot of what music people like to call syncopation, where things are off of the strong beats of the measure. And to me, that 1-2 pattern that's really emphasized throughout the piece is like the steps this sad guy is taking through snow. But for real though, I really wish they would write different stories in the 1800s or whatever. It's always sad people and there are crows that represent death. But let's move into my next example, and this is one that I actually picked out from an album I really like called Play With Fire by a band called The Reign of Kindo, who are really good, real talk. And this song is called Don't Haze Me. So this song is a bit more abstract in terms of what it's presenting with its lyrics, but what I generally understand to be going on is it's someone sort of... I mean, it says in the lyrics pretty much that this person who is speaking in first person, their mind was clouded, but then the sun cleared it up, and now they can see clearly. And so I guess the song kind of carries us over that journey of like cloudiness to clarity. And it's a much more abstract piece, as I said, but I think there's some pretty interesting examples of text painting to be found. So take a listen to this sample, and then let's talk about it.
Come to my senses, escape the haze that clouded my vision, clouded my vision.
You should definitely go listen to that song, listener. That's maybe my favorite song on that album, Play With Fire. The whole album's really good. But let's talk about text painting. So the first thing I want to point out is, rather than a thing that's happening in one instrument, a thing that's happening across two. Specifically, the complexity of the piano rhythm versus the simplicity of the vocals. The piano is moving really, really fast, and the vocals are moving really, really slow. Most of the lyrics throughout the song are just long, slow notes or strings of notes at the same pace, whereas the piano is constantly changing, playing out this really complicated rhythm. And to me, what that says, especially given that the vocals are easily audible over the piano, is that it sort of creates this atmosphere of like taking what matters, the like most important central critical things out of this massive chaos that is being described in the song. You know, where the vocals are this super central critical thing, and the piano and even the strings as well, creating this kind of constant background, are just sort of noise. And the other thing I want to point out is sort of an opposite to Krähe, where with Krähe, what I thought was worth pointing out was the strength of the rhythm of that 1, 2, 1, 2. Whereas in this song, there's not nearly as much rhythm, at least in the first half of the song. Later there's percussion and it becomes more of a quick thing as things sort of get more exciting and clear and stuff like that. There's some text painting for you, the progression over the whole piece. Go listen to it. I think the lack of strong beats and like strong measure feel reflects the sort of floatiness that's happening in this song. You know, to me, I almost get the picture of, you know, the person singing this song sort of literally just floating through chaos. And I think the choice of rhythm really adds to that. All right, let's move on a little. So after I had this sort of discovery about text painting being a thing, I thought about it more. And one thing I realized is that, well, isn't everything text painting? Like, every choice we make in music, you know, when you write music to go with words, you want music that fits with those words, even on the simplest levels. And isn't that kind of text painting too? Like, here's a couple examples of like quote unquote obvious text painting that, at least if you're a music person, you would kind of, or at least I kind of had a reaction of like, well, duh, of course you do these things. That's how you write music that makes sense. But hey, I think it's text painting. Your choice of key, for one, can really help aid whether your song sounds happy or sad. Your choice of pace can say whether it feels energetic or relaxed. Even something like having two different vocalists singing two different parts says to the listener, hey, these are two different characters or voices in this story. And your choice of melodic height, that is how high or low the note that in question is, or how high or low the notes in the whole song are, how much it changes, how big the gaps are, can easily represent emotional highs and lows. In a sense, I think that everything in music is text painting, is the conclusion I've coming to. I then sort of stepped from there to realizing that maybe not all text painting is created equal. If I was a music theorist, which I'm not, and if I wanted to have strong opinions about music composition, which I don't, I might possibly say something to the effect of that Maybe the mark of a good composer is one whose text painting goes beyond the obvious. Maybe. Maybe I might say that. But what I do think as well, but one thing I am sure about is that I think a lot of text painting is subconscious. As I said, when you write a song, you'll choose a key of happy or sad, a pace of energetic or relaxed that matches that. And I don't think anyone's sitting there like, this is a text painting strategy. It's subconscious. This is sort of the thing of like, remember back in high school English or whatever, when your teacher was like, as you can see, the curtains represent the main character's sadness. And you were just sitting there like, are you sure? Because I don't believe you. I think it's a subconscious thing in a lot of cases, but I'm just as much as I'm not a music theorist, I'm also not a psychologist, so don't quote me on these things. But one thing I am sure about is that finding things to interpret in music and in really any form of art or media is fun. I don't know about you, but I really enjoy discovering something in a thing I already like and going, oh. And that's an experience that I really enjoy. So, yeah, I think text painting is important, and I do think that there is an art to using text painting well to create a meaningful musical experience, almost in a way similar to, say, replayability in a video game. Maybe good text painting gives your song re-listenability. I don't know. I am not a music theorist or a psychologist or a game designer, or the kind of person who would have opinions about music composition. I am the kind of person who would ramble about text painting for like 10 minutes on a podcast, so here we are. I just did that. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to me ramble about a weird music theory topic. Be sure to go listen to the pieces that I mentioned, Krähe by Schubert and Don't Haze Me by the Reign of Kindo. I'll put those in the show notes so you can listen to them, because they're good. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure next week to check out our first ever Resetting the Record episode, where we're revisiting an old topic with new guests. We're going to be talking about retro computers and technology, just like we did in episode 2 with Gravis. And this time we're going to be talking to Foon and Goot. And let me tell you, we recorded that yesterday. It was a great time. Thanks for listening to this, and I will see you in a week.